Hey everybody, Katie Sutton here, intuitive channel and founder of Zen Within Academy and the New Earth Now School with your July 2024 energy update. I have 3 themes that I want to share with you this month. The first is seeing things multidimensionally. The second is releasing trauma stories. And the third is beyond autopilot. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this month. I consider July a bit of a transition month. We had a lot of energy that came in with solstice. I think it was probably the most intense solstice that I've ever experienced. And then we had a full moon the next day. And I feel like all of us are recovering from that. And we're integrating this month, and we're preparing to move into the Lionsgate portal, which opens at the end of July into August. So we've got some work to do this month, and I think that there's also a little bit of a rest period that we need to take this month. So if you're feeling that your energy levels are a little lower, I think that's just what the doctor ordered this month. We really need to take some time to integrate and rest. But let's just dive into the themes, okay? So the first thing that I want to talk about is seeing things multidimensionally. And I'm going to give you all some examples of this because I think it's the easiest way for me to express the energetics and the meaning behind this theme. We have, especially here in the States, a lot of very triggering things going on in a lot of arenas. We have triggering things going on throughout the world as well, on the world stage. And one of the tools that I use in order to not be derailed fully by the things that are happening and still experience the feelings and the things that are triggered by these events. I'm going to give you an example that I gave to a friend recently. I had a friend, we were away on a trip and we were in Mexico, and I was doing some work one night out on the beach working with the land there. And what Mexico, as the land, Mother Earth in the form of the Mexican land, asked me to do there on the beach that night was to work and do some clearing on some of the effects of weather manipulation that was going on, that was creating a lot more storms and a lot more heat for that part of the world. And you might be noticing that we have all these heat waves going on in the United States as well. And my spidey senses are telling me that there's a good bit of manipulation happening with the weather. What I believe is that there are programs. I'm not going to mention them by name so this video doesn't get flagged, but there are programs that are out there that are manipulating the weather. And there are some good reasons for this, meaning that the people have some good intentions behind it. And there's this belief that there is going to be a really intense hurricane season, and there's some manipulation going on to try to redirect storms. But anytime we interfere with a natural process, we often do more harm than good. And so what the land there in Mexico was asking me to do was just clear this manipulation energy and bring in more autonomy for the land and for Mother Nature, for her to make the decisions that she needs to make about where the storms need to be. And so as I was doing that, I finished up my work and I was talking to my friend about it, and she said, "What do you see when you look at things like weather manipulation?" And so I see it on a multidimensional level. At the 3D level, I can see some people having negative intentions and some people having positive intentions as to why they're doing this and how they're trying to manipulate and control. And that's my 3rd dimensional lens. But as I go higher in dimension and I look at something like weather manipulation at a different dimensional plane, which means at a higher frequency or through a lens of more unity and less separation, what I see is that we're playing out old timelines from Atlantean days where we created our downfall by manipulating the weather. And we're working through that energy and we're playing with it again. I say playing, I don't mean that in a light way, but we're working with that energy again because we haven't completely cleared the karma from that lifetime, and we're having to go through some of these experiences. And people that are making these choices and running these programs were probably around in that timeline. So that's like a 5th dimensional view. And then I go up to an 8th dimensional view, let's say, which is an even higher perspective. And I can see that weather manipulation destruction is an example of the masculine trying to control the feminine, which is Mother Earth, and that this invalidation energy of feminine empowerment and Mother Earth's choice of how she wants to be and trusting the process, and us thinking that we know better as humans, that we know better as to what Mother Earth needs. I can see that in a higher frequency. And then if I go even higher and I look at it from a source lens, I can just see that this is another example of duality and separation that we are here to play out on Earth. And looking at that in all of those different levels and being able to see through this multi-dimensional lens when I look at world events and when I look at things that are scary or unsettling for the human collective to see and witness and think about, when I look through that multi-dimensional lens, it brings in a level of neutrality where I can still be angry about somebody trying to control the weather and making choices for Mother Earth and taking her sovereignty away. I can still process that anger, but I can also understand on some level, of course that's happening because this is a reflection of the duality that exists here. And of course we have to work through this in order to rise in consciousness and come to unity. And so when you look at things like elections and different things that are happening on the world stage, if I look at what's happening in the United States, we have two ridiculous choices, in my opinion, and this is what we're left with. But of course that's what we have, because this system needs to change, and it has to get really ridiculous and really obvious that it's broken before it will change, before people will wake up and create change for themselves and make different choices. And so I have to look at things that are happening through this multidimensional lens in order to maintain my truth and my sanity and my frequency of unity consciousness. Otherwise, if I go into a duality perspective and I go down a rabbit hole, then I get sucked in with that energy, and then I'm not able to serve in the role that I play on this planet. So the invitation this month is for you all to look at events and things that are happening through this multidimensional lens and trust that even though things are appearing to be more chaotic and more crazy and worse than ever, that somehow that is bringing things to the light, and it is serving for us to clear this energy so that we can hold a higher vibration, so that we can hold more unity. It's very much like what happens in the body when we're going through a healing crisis, when we're doing a detox. Things get more intense and get worse before they tend to get better. And that's what's happening here in our world stage as well. And so I really hope that you all can start to look at things in a multidimensional level like I do, even if it's different in your view of it, that's fine. But can you bring in that multidimensional lens so that you can maintain a bit more neutrality and maintain your center and not be sucked into the fear stories that they want us to be a part of, which take our power away. When we see things multidimensionally, we're able to hold more of our autonomy and our sovereignty when there is chaos going on. So this is an important theme for this month, but it's going to be an incredibly important theme that we anchor throughout the rest of the year as well. Okay? So let's go to the second theme, which kind of piggybacks off of the first in a way, which is releasing trauma stories. What I'm seeing is that we are going to be doing a clearing this month on any stories where we've attached into past experiences of how things have gone, where they have dictated how we make decisions in the now. And these can be old fear stories, old experiences that you've had in the past, in relationship, in life, in trying new things, all kinds of different stories that you have where you're still allowing what has happened a year ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago to dictate how you're making choices in the now. We want to make choices about what's in alignment for us and the things that we want to be doing in our life from this present moment. If we're still running these old stories, we are still being controlled by what's happened in the past. Again, there is an application of the world stage events here as well, right? If we're so afraid of what's happened in the past and we're assuming that we're going to get more of that, we're going to get more of that. We have to start to step into our autonomy and our sovereignty and believe and know that we are allowed to experience more freedom, more expansion, more joy, more happiness, more love on this planet. and understand that the things that have happened in these past timelines, like that example that I gave of the Atlantean weather manipulation, that we don't need to replay those stories at the global level, but we also don't need to replay these old stories out at the personal level. And so very specifically, what I see is that some of you are going to be tested this month in some kind of old type of experience coming back. So it could actually be somebody from your past, or it could be a repeat of something that feels like your past. And how you react to that stimulus, how you react to that activation of that energy is super important. Don't bring your old trauma to the table. Say, I am a different person now. I have done a lot of inner work. I have done a lot of healing, and I can hold my center in the face of this challenge, and I don't have to be ruled by it. I don't have to go back into that old pattern. I get to create a new groove in the record. I get to play a different song now. Okay? And so if you can really focus on that when these things that feel familiar come back and say, oh, actually, that happened 10 years ago in this way, and I'm not that same person anymore. I can meet this challenge differently now. That is going to serve you in allowing that loop, that karmic loop, to really close out this month. We've got a lot of cleanup to do this month so that we can activate into this highest expression at the end of July and August in this really expansive portal that's coming in with Lionsgate. Okay, that's about personal power. So you might also be seeing a lot of old power dynamics resurfacing, a lot of people wanting you to go to battle with them again that you haven't heard from in a while. And you're like, gosh, I thought they were out of my life forever, and look, here they have shown back up again. Don't engage. Right? Don't let yourself get sucked back into that push-pull, that battle energy. Really choose something different for yourselves this month. And really every day choose that. Activate into what do you want your life to feel like, and make that choice every day of how you want to align in each and every moment. Okay? So that's what we're going to be doing with releasing these trauma stories. These are old things that are falling away, and you have to decide, I'm not going to live that way anymore. I'm not going to reactivate into that old story. And once you do, you're not going to keep getting tested in it anymore. Okay? So let's go to the third theme, which is what we're going to be working on in our healing circle, which is going to be on the 10th of July at 7:30 Eastern, which is Beyond Autopilot. So this theme came up for me really loudly at the end of June, and I started to notice how prevalent it is in the collective that we are operating in a frequency more often than not of autopilot. I had a client that said to me, isn't it just normal? Aren't we all operating in autopilot? And I thought, gosh, that is so sad to hear. Right? And it's so sad to think that's what we've accepted, that our life is just going to be a rinse and repeat every day. And trust me, I know that routine and structure and form, which is our divine masculine container, is super important. But every once in a while, we need to shake things up. We need to bring in new energy. We need to get out of our comfort zone. We need to bring in something spontaneous, something exciting, right? For some of you, this may look like travel in the month of July, or going to a new class, or going or reading a new book, or changing something up in your routine. It doesn't have to be huge, but do something this month to get yourself out of that autopilot. It is very easy to go into the eat, work, sleep, repeat programming that we have on this planet. There is a box that has been created for us that the powers that be would like us to operate in, that say, this is what you do to be successful. This is what you do to be happy. And what I am finding is that's not making us happy, right? It's the thing that takes us out of autopilot more often than not is the frequency of connection. And so when we are welcoming and open to connection, whether that's connection with ourselves by trying something new and learning a new skill, or connection with other people by going and getting out into the world and dating and connecting and making new friends, when we break open that box of autopilot, what we're really doing to break open that energy is this frequency of connection. Connection is what takes us out of autopilot. And what I'm finding is that we're just operating a lot outside of our bodies when we're in this autopilot mode. And so in Healing Circle this month, we're going to be clearing kind of robotic programming that we've been conditioned to be in different parts of our life, and how we take care of ourselves, how we maybe give our power away to the medical system, how we give our power away to corporations. We're going to be looking at different places where we are just choosing to be in autopilot because we're giving our power away and we're staying in a comfortable zone of how we're operating in our lives. July is the month to try something new. That's how you activate beyond this autopilot programming that we're carrying, okay? This programming is going to get cleared this month, but one of the easiest ways for you to clear it is to try something new, okay? So I think this is really important because what I am sensing is that this is our next round on this planet of waking up. We're going through a big shakeup and a big awakening in the back half of 2024. And so when we're stepping out of autopilot programs, places where we're just doing the same thing because we think that's what we need to be doing or what we've done in the past and it's comfortable, we're saying, hey, I want to be awake. I want to be as alive as I can in this expression in this lifetime. And so this is a great month to really practice that, okay? I'm really excited to do some clearing on this. I can see in people's fields all these very metallic, robotic type programmings of how they're operating in a lot of different planes of their life, and that's what we're going to be clearing out in Healing Circle. So take some time this month, not only to rest and integrate and prepare for our next portal that's coming up at the end of July and early August, but also to just do something outside of your comfort zone and bring in some spontaneous new energy, okay? So those are the 3 themes that I want to share with you this month. I hope you will consider joining us in our Healing Circle on the 10th for Beyond Autopilot, and we'll do some clearing on all those robotic autopilot programs that we've been conditioned to operate in different parts of our life. All right, so have a beautiful month, everyone. Take good care of yourselves. Try to stay cool in all of this crazy heat that we're having, and go out and do something fun and spontaneous. All right, I'll see you back next week with a little bit more of the energies of July. Goodbye.